This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with SB Sports. We're delighted to be joined for the first time in probably quite a while. I don't think we both remember when you were last on. It's been, I guess, I've done so many interviews in just over a year or so, but it hasn't been that long since we've had you on, Brett. But I guess for you, it's another buzz. I know you were last out in November of last year in Dublin, but you're just over a week away from obviously your second pro fight in Dublin, your seventh pro fight in total. it, is it a relief for you, I guess, in some ways, when obviously you can fight in Ireland? Your early days as a pro were behind closed doors in Coventry and things like that, and people having to travel across. Is camps easier for you now, knowing that you're fighting in Dublin, knowing you can bring a big crowd, rather than maybe just people can maybe afford, say, to get flights and hotels over to England?
It's it's great to be fighting at home, as you said. Like I've been through in the earlier stages where I've had to be fighting in Coventry and stuff like that. There, like it was never straightforward for people having to get flights and stuff to come over and watch me. I think at one of my fights, I was lucky enough. Now I think I had about 60 or 70 over, which was unreal. Like, but now I mean, it gives a lot more people the opportunity just to make a trip down. Some will be staying over, some won't. So it's there's nothing beats fighting at home, and such a familiar venue as well, a national stadium. Boxers up and down the country have like I've fought there many times, know what it's all about, and it's good to be back.
It's a place that obviously brings fond memories, obviously, in the amateur in your amateur days. I guess now that you've done it once as a pro, that sort of the shaky leg syndrome as you're sort of walking out. You're familiar with it from the amateurs, but you've already done it as a pro already in the national stadium. So it's just business sort of as usual for you next week. You know what the dressing rooms are like. You know what the walkouts are like. It's just a case of you just focusing on what you're supposed to focus on fighting without any of the nerves and stuff coming in the background.
That's it. The first time, obviously, like you're there in the amateurs. Like, you have a 3 round fight, whereas for the first time as a pro, it's all changed really. Like and you're going out for a 6 rounder, bit more nerves, big crowd up to watch you for your first fight at home. But I mean, I've had that now. I've experienced it. I've been there and done it, as you said. So it's more, get down to business, get the result that I need next week, and keep on hopefully.
Obviously, your last time out, I didn't get the last show because always there's a clash of shows with one in Belfast. But from all accounts, from obviously your last show, you seem to be the one that sold the most tickets, or your crowd just made the most noise. Does that, I guess, in them feelings when obviously you've got a big crowd and they're there to support you, that bodes well for you in the future? Because let's face it, in professional boxing, it's not just your talent. Sometimes it's obviously being able to sell tickets and everything else. That obviously that big support at home, that obviously adds probably an extra 5 or 10% to your performance as well, knowing that in the way the world is at the moment with the cost of living, everybody that's forking out money to go on a bus or to buy tickets, you're not going to want to let them down in a way. So you want to make sure you always put on a good performance for them.
Absolutely. Do you know what I mean? It's a massive cost, especially in Dublin. Some of the lads I run about with joke that it was cheaper for them to fly over to Coventry and stay a couple of nights than it was to go to Dublin for the night, for the kind of prices they're paying. But absolutely, like it gives you that extra push, knowing that people are spending their hard earned money to come down the road and watch you. And not that you need it, but if you ever need that extra couple of percent, and that's in your head, it's great to know that people are willing to pay their hard earned money, as you say, and come down the road and watch you. And I haven't had it in my career really up until the last fight, and this is 2 in a row now for that I'm going to have at home. So it's great, and hopefully that's the sign of many things to come. Like the more shows that's at home, the better it is for us. Because as you say, selling tickets and all that there, it's a big part of boxing, especially professional boxing. Obviously, you don't have to worry about them things when you're amateurs and stuff, but it's a different game altogether. And the more shows that are at home, the more opportunities it gives us.
And obviously next week starting off a busy trend. Five shows. You're the first of 5 shows in the space of 8 weeks or pretty much 2 months. The buzz about Irish boxing, I mean, it's probably as good as it's probably ever been. Jason Quigley, obviously, who knows local with you. Obviously, his first fight at home Katie Taylor having her first fight at home, Michael Conlan fighting for a world title, Dylan Moran in Waterford, Kieran Malloy obviously having the homecoming in Galway. What a better time for you to be involved in boxing. You know that boxing's thriving in Ireland, that you don't need to go anywhere else. They have fights, and Elite and Sheer seem to be putting on these shows. Seems to be it's going to be a regular thing now as well. So you don't need any more motivation to get in the gym and train. Do you know that there's going to be fight cards stacking up and you're going, I want to fight 8 weeks? It's going to be there for you.
Of course, it's brilliant at the minute, as you say. We've finally got Katie's homecoming. Ideally, we would have liked it to be in Croke Park, but she's in a great fight in Ireland, which is the most important thing. And then you have Michael Conlan the week after, which that's 2 world title fights in the space of a week. Like, I mean, that's absolutely brilliant that they have them here. Or well, they have them. I was going to say they have them here in Ireland. I'm in England at the minute, but they have them. And then at the same time, we're having the smaller shows like the one in Waterford, the one in Dublin, and the one in Kieran-Malloy's in Galway. Like, it's great to have a bit of both. Like, because there's sometimes in the past there's been a big gap where you've had like Michael Conlan fighting in a big fight, and then everybody's just trying. It's like a golden ticket to try and get on it. But I mean, now there's more options. As you say, there's 5 shows there that you've named. Definitely the 2 later in the year, being Katie's and Michael Conlan's, it will definitely be tougher to get on. But I mean, for those who can't get on them, at least they have the options of other shows as well. And if they can impress, maybe they can push towards the bigger shows in the future. So the opportunities are there, and they haven't been there in the past. So it's great, and long may it continue. As you said, like Elite and Sheer Sports look like they're going to run shows regularly, and that's great for us, and it's great for also for like other boxers around the country, because it'll not just be sheer fighters or people that are looked after by Elite. There'll be other people getting opportunities as well, and hopefully we'll get some domestic title fights.
I guess with you obviously selling tickets and obviously being a very popular fighter as well, is maybe hopefully the aim as well. It can maybe get you closer to home. I know it's obviously very hard to obviously get up in the northwest. They have shows, but the ideally to get one closer to home, I guess, I'll only add the volume of tickets you'll sell as well. Like, it's going to be very hard for you to probably get a homecoming fight sort of such. And I know Jason Quigley's touched on it before as well because of the air ambulance and everything else. But would you ideally like to get one, closer to home from Dublin, or you don't mind obviously fighting in Dublin?
Ideally, like, you want to be as close to home as possible. For me, Dublin's great because it was England before. But I mean, the further we can get it down towards the northwest, the better. And the more tickets you sell, as you say, the fact that Jason's back now, and he's looking to push towards things himself. I mean, that'll do me no harm. Me and him are from similar areas, so if we can get something down this direction in the northwest, it'd be absolutely brilliant. As I say, like, Dublin is home for me, because my 5 previous fights were in England, so I'm happy enough as it is to be fighting in Dublin. But I mean, the closer we can get it down towards the northwest, the better.
And obviously appearing on a card with Jason as well. Obviously, I know it was obviously in your school and everything, amateur and things like that. I'm guessing it's a big honour for you to obviously be fighting his undercard next week.
It is. As I said, like, Jason's he's been there at the pinnacle of the sport. Fought for a world title. Didn't go his way, but I mean, he's been there and done it, and he wants to come back and push towards it again. He hasn't fought in Ireland before, so finally getting that chance, or people are finally getting the chance to see him on home turf. And it's new and improved. Hopefully, push towards a world title. So it's great for Irish boxing. It's great for Donegal, the northwest, and hopefully it'll be the first of a few fights he's going to have here. And then, as I say, hopefully he can push towards a world title again.
You've obviously Conor Coyle in the mix there as well. It's obviously very highly ranked weight in middleweight in the WBA. It just seems to be, we go through these periods of time where there's no one in the northwest that obviously is boxing, and now we have 3, and it just seems to be that usually the sort of role models for the sort of next ones coming through, that people's going, we don't need to be in Belfast, we don't need to be in Dublin to become a professional boxer. If you live in the northwest of Ireland, you can still have an opportunity. Promoters are still going to look for you. You're still going to get fights. Do you sort of look into that sort of, or do you sort of forget sometimes that you be a role model for the next generation coming through?
Well, I mean, suppose we do, like, but you mentioned that, like that's what we want to be. Like the opportunities in the Northwest to be a pro boxer are limited. There's no doubt about it. Like Connor's gone off to America to do his training. I'm in Manchester, and Jason's kind of been a few different places. He's been in England. He's been in America. So the opportunities aren't as plentiful. But I mean, at the same time, we've shown that it can be done. Do you know what I mean? As I said, Jason's fought for a world title. Connor's getting right up there now. Like he's touching on a big fight. Hopefully, he'll get a big fight on the Conlon bill. So I mean, for the young lads and girls coming through, like they can see it can be done, and there's nothing stopping them.
And we obviously had the elites there in Derry, towards the end of last year as well. So it's shown that not everything has to be in the big smoke in Belfast or can be in Dublin. I think it was the first time since 1972, I believe, that the elites were in Derry. So obviously it's a big thing, and it can show a big thrive and kids looking to get into the sport, because I think we look at the YouTubers and things like that nowadays, and kids are getting involved where they may not have got involved before. So there's a real probably market for years to come now of hopefully more professional boxers and up around the Northwest.
I hope so. All we can do is like try our best to promote it and help people along the way. But as you said about the senior elites down in the Guildhall was a sellout as well, so the interest is there. Do you know what I mean? Running a professional show at the minute, I think, is a difficulty in there. But I think the new road now, that's going to be open to Belfast, kind of eliminates one of the problems anyway. But like as I say, it was a sellout in the Guildhall for the elites. I would like to think it would be a sellout if there was a pro show in Derry in the morning or in Donegal. So like hopefully that's that's in the pipeline. At the minute, the concentration is obviously on this one in Dublin next week, and we'll see how that goes. But hopefully eventually we can start bringing it down the road towards the Northwest and start having some shows around our area.
Like there's plenty of obviously of talent we've had in the past, obviously in Derry as well. Obviously, really great boxers and the Nashes and everybody else. Your opponent next week, Patrick Viala, from the Czech Republic. It's looking like another 6th rounder at middleweight. Obviously, it's your second back-to-back fight now. 6 rounds in middleweight. You started obviously your pro career and then went down to 4 rounders. Is it like, I guess anybody that's always been very used to the amateurs, you can probably find, the earlier rounds, it sort of takes you a few rounds to get going. You're stuck in that sort of transition of warming up. Are we now starting to see the best of you? Obviously, last time out, you really game opponent wanted to come in and try and take your head off. Do you now feel that you're now starting to get the grips with the professional boxing now that you're starting to get back into 6 rounders again?
Well, I think so. I've had a really good camp, to be honest. Ricky was just saying today he thinks it's the sharpest he's seen me. So it's up to me now to take that on the next week. It's one thing being sharp and sparring and in the gym. You need to do it on fight night. As you said, fighting an opponent from Czech Republic who has a fairly decent record, 5 wins, 3 losses, winning record. I'm sure he's going to come to fight. So like that's what I want. Like I want people that are going to come and put it up to me and give me a proper fight. That's what I want to be in boxing for. And hopefully next week will be no different. I'm really looking forward to it. I've put in the work. I'm ready to go, and to be honest, I'm just counting down the days now.
And obviously, you're a few years now with Ricky. I guess the last camp was different because obviously he's preparing for his obviously exhibition fight. Did you find camp this time different? Where I know obviously Ricky's had problems with his hands since then, but have you found this camp sort of like a drawback, going, come on, Ricky, put the gloves on, let's train together? Is this camp been any different for you? The fact that I guess you have the banter and everything else that you have in camps that keeps you going, but have you found this camp has probably been harder maybe sometimes to cheer yourself up knowing that Ricky's not there doing it with you?
Maybe, but I found the last camp was more strange than any of the rest of them because he's been there training me up for them all. Like And then for the last one, obviously he was training alongside us. He still trained us on a Wednesday, like done pads and stuff, but every other day he was doing the session with us. So it was a wee bit strange then. Thankfully, what you were saying there about his hands, it's all cleared up, and he's had no issues with him, in this camp. So, no, hey, it's to be honest, I would say the last one was more strange than this one. This one's kind of back to normality again, kind of. But to be fair to him, he's kept himself in shape, and he's got me in shape, and we're ready to go for next week. So bring it on.
It's I guess when when you're sort of growing up and you're watching Ricky Hatton do then and been back in for an exhibition, you're sort of going, if I went back in time here, if I, what am I doing? It's like, what year is it? Ricky, what are you doing? But I guess when you've seen him preparing and stuff, then that's the perfect sort of thing for you now, where he was telling you things in the past. Here's what you do. This, where you're then seeing him, you're seeing a different aspect of how you can prepare then, and seeing how he's preparing. When he is preparing for his exhibition.
And one thing that did stand out now, I have to say, is like, although it was only an exhibition, and Ricky's he's well in his 40s now, like you wouldn't think, that he wouldn't still have that wee bit of drive, like, but man, he's for that last camp, like you would have seen anyway that, like, he got himself in great shape, obviously from the from how he was before, but his drive and training was crazy, to be honest. It was great to see. Like, I think the fight was a complete success, to be honest. It was a good fight between him and Barrera, two seasoned operators, and they just put on a good show, I thought. And as I said, like, watching him train and seeing how hard he pushed himself for it was only an exhibition. You can see why he was so ferocious and so good back in his day.
Are you? I know that obviously Ricky said that you remind him a lot of him. I know, in the fact that you like to work the body and everything else. Is that a great compliment for you in the fact that Ricky sees a lot of what he was in you, so you can sort of start to visualize yourself sort of, getting these world level fights and winning and becoming a cult hero everywhere you go. Is that wee motivational things that help you, as you move on when Ricky's going, I see a lot of me in you. Does that help or does that hinder sometimes?
No, it definitely helps. Do you know what I mean? He's my coach, and he's telling me things to do, and that's things he done himself. We've got that sort of style where we like grinding our opponents down. So we like the early rounds. You might not have the success you want, but slowly but surely you start settling in, working the body, and eventually, down the stretch and bigger and fights in bigger rounds, like you'll start seeing the benefits of the work you've done early. So I can only hope to someday get to the levels he got. He reached the pinnacle of sport and won world titles. So it's great to have him in my corner. Hey, it's great to have him guiding me, and hopefully I can follow in his footsteps in some way anyway. Because as I say, like, he's been there and done it all.
And obviously, not looking too far ahead, I sort of alerted to the fact that the BUA Celtic super welterweight title or light middleweight title is now vacant. Obviously, I guess, as you're starting to do the 6 rounders, Celtic titles over 8 rounds. Is that something that you can now start to look at now that the belt's vacant and going, when can I get an opportunity for that? When can I get my first belt around the waist?
To be honest, Stephen, I would love an opportunity to fight for it. Now that the shows are being regularly run in Ireland too, we've seen that domestic title fights are like, they're a success. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not the kind of person that's going to start shouting people's names out or whatever, but I mean, I'm sure there's other fighters up and down the country that have looked at it and said, I wouldn't mind fighting for that. And I'm definitely one of them, to be honest. I would be happy to fight. Hey, if it was next, I would be happy get another 6 rounder under my belt, step up to 8. I'll be happy enough for that. If everybody else was, if they wanted me to take another one before it, whatever, fair enough. But I'm ready now for them kind of fights. Like, and as I say, we've seen that domestic title fights are proper fights. They're great to watch for the fans. They're great to be involved in. So they're the kind of fights I want to be in, and bring them on, to be honest.
Definitely, that's what gets you up out of bed in the morning, isn't it? To say we've had great fights over the last year. So obviously Owen O'Neill, obviously who vacated the belt now, he won it with a devastating knockout in the last round. With Jamie Morrissey and Kevin Cronin going at it again for the rematch for the Irish title and getting on a Conlan boxing bill. It's been streamed on ESPN and everything else. So domestic fights are what people want to see nowadays. And if it brings TV to it, it's even better news for you because more people can see who Brett McGinty is as you're making your rise up the ranks.
Absolutely. Like Jamie Morrissey and Kevin Cronin's a prime example where like they fought for a title, put on a great show, great fight, and now they get to do it again in a better platform. As you said, the ESPN is going to be involved on a Conlan boxing show in Galway, which is sold out. I know there was big demand for tickets with Kieran being on it and that. So like they deserve it. Do you know what I mean? They stepped up. It wasn't an easy fight for either of them to take. It was a chance for both of them. Like they were taking a chance realistically, and now they've got the reward to do it again. May the best man win, and it's great to see, to be honest.
Well, listen, Brett, obviously, I know you've obviously quite a lot of media obligations to do today, but obviously, I want to thank you for your time. Thankfully, I'm going to be down in Dublin next Saturday to get to see you in person for the first time as a pro. But obviously, all the very best, obviously, in the build up to next week. And I'm sure we'll see you post fight interview on Saturday evening when you move to 7-0.
Look forward to it, Stephen. Thank you.
All right, Brett. Cheers. Take care. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.